KBA squad, this is Last Shelter and we're tuning into another hero drop. This is season 8, week 4. So now that we've passed the smaller drops of the first 2 weeks where you could pick up Cyclone and Flare, week 3 featured both Scorpion and Dawn. So those were kind of the last chance where you can pick those two up this season, just trying to build up your metas. Week 4 is kind of where you start trying to fill in the little gaps of your APCs to strengthen them. And this week, for those who are in particularly looking out for Death Rider or even some of the other top support heroes, then you might want to dip into this one. But with having more maxed heroes, it does pose a bit more of a dilemma, so we're going to talk through that. Now, before we get started, I want to thank today's video sponsor, Leo's VIP Club, giving you direct access to APC and base skins. They're definitely giving you a little bit of an edge when it comes to the grind in your Eden War, especially as we are now in our World Center battle with the South here on the map 59. So if you have your eye on any of the new Stormbreaker, Ice Crown Castle, Trick Box, Blessed Lanterns, any of those skins, then you can purchase them directly through Leo's VIP Club. I'll put the link down below. So last week I kind of mentioned the new wishlist function that we have in the bottom right. You can see a little picture of Death Rider that we mentioned. We'll talk about that in a moment. But in terms of the heroes that you can see this week, they are Retrograder, Canoness, Sven, Death Rider, and they are featured alongside Rose Noir and Hunk and Prophet. So it is a total of 7 heroes, 1 fewer than last week's, which again was kind of a mixed bag, but did feature a lot of those strong APCs. This one is really about Death Rider, but Death Rider, like in the seasonal rewards group 2, does pose a bit of a dilemma with the other wider heroes that you might pull in this. So there is definitely a risk factor upping higher if you have any maxed heroes. So in my instance, I do have Retrograder maxed and Fortune Teller, who was previously known as Prophet. Still don't like the name of Fortune Teller, but there is still some usefulness in this, primarily with Canoness still being an excellent healing hero and putting them alongside any of Retrograder, Prophet, Dawn as a top fighter heroes. You also get Sven if you already have a maxed PIA and still yet want to improve your efficiency, whether that's through Cyclone. Sven again is still one of the best force tilers because of his skill where he can last an additional turn even if all of your troops are gone. You can see I don't have any copies, so if you have a few, then it's more worthwhile. If you don't have any copy like me, then while it's nice, it's more for the long term and isn't going to help you out currently. Besides that, you have, to a lesser extent, Hunk and Rose Noir, who generally just aren't really featured these days in the metas. But of course, you gotta work with the heroes. If you want to risk it for that Death Rider Chocolate Biscuit, then you need to be in this drop. Otherwise, it's season rewards or next season. Rose Noir is a nice alternative to Nomad, just giving you extra normal attack frequency, has some decent amount of damage, and also a stacked Mark of Pursuit, which deals damage to all enemies rather than Fortune Teller's sort of focused damage. If you have Nomad, then she's not really going to be as relevant, and in my case, I do have 3 copies of him, so she's not really gonna be a hero that I would want to have if I don't get Death Rider. And then Hunk, I do have 3 copies of him, while I wouldn't necessarily want him because he's just not really that useful in combat, even though he has a little bit going on in terms of burning status, also some extra confusion. So he has some off meta opportunities like with Siren, Flare, Tech Priestess, Lust. But again, those off metas aren't necessarily that worthwhile. But having 3 copies of him and Canoness, who again is very strong, chances to max them does improve this and sort of offset the risk of having a max Retrograder and a Prophet. But of course, the big one in this is Death Rider. For me, definitely a tough one to try and pick up. I only have 1 copy since the start of Season X, and he's just kind of eluded me in the season rewards, and the drops just haven't been that favorable. But as I've had more heroes max, then it's really just trying to dip and hopefully the chance pays off. If it doesn't, it is what it is. But it's kind of having to use your tickets and be in the chance with him. If I don't get him and I do get, say, Retrograder and Prophet, then they would be duplicates to open up those, let's say, Retrograder, if he does feature in November's Hopeness Lab. But of course, if I do get Hunk or Canoness, not the end of the world, I can max them. I would prefer Canoness rather than Hunk to max. And then Sven still being useful, but more of a long-term thing if I want to upgrade my tiling efficiency. Not really so fussed about that so far. And then Rose Noir just kind of being the least favorable. Knowing Last Shelter, they're probably going to give me the worst one that I don't want, so that's going to be Rose Noir, rather than actually helping me out with trying to make my APC strong, which has been lacking those damage dealers. Reason why, of course, you want Death Rider, he is just still making some of the tough APCs out there, outside of, say, your Dawn, Scorpion, and Siren. Very versatile in being a vehicle hero. His Awakening provides a 300 plus demolition power, so you can simply take a tile with the speed of vehicles through him, although there's many ways to increase destructive power as a guild in general, so that's not necessarily as effective as it was previously, but definitely gives you a leg up when it comes to higher destructive power for taking cities, gates, world centers, and then just having all of the kind of damage that he deals. Generally, you would want him 3 copies. He can work as a 2, and I would, even though Unstoppable Charge gives him a full counter immunity and extra damage, it's a bit of a tough one. That's more combat focused, where Awaken is going to give you a bit more versatility with how you can use them, especially if you have excellent support heroes around. So I guess we'll see when it comes to it if I do get Death Rider in this drop, and I will be pulling. With the wish list function like last week, it's simply this button on the right just underneath where you can see the rest of the heroes, and you can freely select it at any moment. So if you do want to target or at least have a wish list preference of other heroes, then you can do it after each pull. Again, my preference is obviously Death Rider, and then I would say Canoness. Probably I'm not really using Hunk either, so Hunk, Sven maybe, and then any duplicates just for later on, but I would like to get some good development on Death Rider, so I'm going to confirm him. Options that you can run him in, he does obviously play well with Canoness and Retro in a mixed combo, so you can run that, which is great. Another one is Heaven's Redemption and Retrograder alongside him, which also fares well. A straight up vehicle formation, an alternative is Kamikaze Heavens Death Rider or Kami Retrograder Death Rider. Very versatile. TP Wrath Death Rider. Yeah, the list goes on. Or even if you've got Dawn Scorpion, if you don't have Siren, you can just substitute Death Rider in there. He's going to play excellently at the same time. So yeah, that's kind of the status with Hero Drop 4. Should you pull in it, it's really just down to taking on that risk for Death Rider. You can kind of get away with the other support heroes if you pulled last week. Retrograder, while being good, his chances of executing his high healing is still okay, still decent. Canoness has the additional suppression, although she doesn't heal the rest of the formation like Dawn and leave some gaps, whereas Retrograder, even though he heals one at a time, can heal any of the formations, so a great one if you're against high damage APCs. So that's kind of it. I'm going to pull it in this, so over the next couple of hours we're gonna do it the sensible way and do it in the hourlies, and hopefully we can pull a Death Rider. So stay tuned, and you can check out my hero pull shorts, which I'll be also uploading on my Phoenix Place if you want to just see what I pulled in this. Let's go KBA squad.